everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone has had a happy new beginning of year. I was working, so was my husband, so our New Year's Eve and New Year's Day was just working. So yeah, not in a big party mood. So let's go straight to today's topic. Today we're going to be talking about what I've read in December, so it's our December wrap-up. I have my pile of books already here. I think it was 13 books, which was a big number for me since I never have time for anything, but I focused a lot on reading this past month. So yeah, I read a lot, and not only I read a lot, so I'm gonna try to make this video a bit quicker. I actually read some of the worst books I've ever read because they were in my shelf, and my shelf may seem a bit empty now, not only because I took 13 books out of it, but also I kind of did a mini declutter today. I had some books that were given to me and I didn't like them, and some of them I actually just got rid of them because I'm not going to continue doing the thing of reading something just because someone wanted to get rid of them and they didn't want it to go to waste, so they gave it to me. And yeah, I felt bad for the books going somewhere where they wouldn't be loved, but they weren't being loved here. So yeah, I just got rid of them, and that opened space for the books that I have coming that I actually love. So yeah, let's go straight to our December wrap-up. So first one was Jane Baldwin's The Fire Next Time. I really loved this book. It's on my top picks of the year, along with The Fire This Time. So The Fire Next Time is from James Baldwin, and The Fire This Time is from Jesmyn Ward, edited by Jesmyn Ward, because she has several essays from several different authors, including Jesmyn. And yeah, this was amazing to pair these ones. I read one after the other, first Jane Baldwin's and then Jesmyn's, and it was amazing to see how, like, James Baldwin talks about the issues in Harlem with racism, and he talks about it in the past, and then Jesmyn talks about it and all the authors in the book, The Fire This Time, talks about it in a present, like in the present, how it's been going on. It's amazing. I can't give spoilers, like, it's not like this is fiction, this is non-fiction, but I really recommend this because this talks about race, about the struggles, not only in Harlem in this case, but in the US. And yeah, this is, I'm already waffling, but indeed this is amazing. I think that everyone should read this and pair them up, read them together, read first Jane Baldwin's and then Jesmyn Ward's, and this will blow your mind. Like, not as if it's something that is new, but as in something that makes you feel really close to the authors, all the authors, not only James Baldwin's, but all the authors on The Fire This Time. Next one. This one is not a surprise. So this one from Angela Davis, this is Freedom is a Constant Struggle, and when I tell you that Angela Davis is a queen, it's an understatement. Like, the way that she talks about the struggles with race, the struggles with the Palestinians not having access to their rights, like, she talks about it in a point of history, but also her struggle, like, personally, and she even talks about, like, how she got involved with the Black Panther movement, and this is one of my favorite books ever as well. And I don't have much more to say about it because I have so much to say about it that it's better that I don't start waffling about it. But yeah, she talks about history not only on the US, but how it moved, like, racism moves around the world, and that's amazing, and how it affects a lot more than people in the US, because a lot of times I think that people don't talk about like how racism moves around the rest of the world, and this hit the spot on everything, and on black feminism. Like it's so good, so good. I really recommend this. I'm already laughing because I talked about this book on my year wrap up, on my best and worst, and this is one of my 3 worst books of the year. And if you want to hear me rant about it, go watch that video, feel free to. But yeah, this is how to deal with how to understand and deal with social anxiety by Mita Mistry. I'm never buying something like this again. If self-help books are for you, I wouldn't even try this one, but go ahead if you want to. But this is just the opinion, someone's opinion, the opinion of this author. And she talks about it, they talk about it as if it was a fact. So I'm annoyed already about this. So yeah, I wouldn't read this again. Now, for cozy books. Cozy books are usually not the thing they didn't used to be the thing that I used to gravitate more towards. But I'm actually going to show you 2 of the books that I read from the same author and the same collection. I was doing it in a reading order, but 2 of them were from the same collection, so I'm just going to show you both of them. And they're Before the Coffee Gets Cold. That's the name of the collection as well. And then the second one, that is Tales from the Cafe. They're from Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and these are cozy books. This one was on my top 5 picks of the year. It made me cry. It's not easy to make me cry. So basically the premise, you can also watch if you want the video, the video that I had on my top picks of the year, top and bottom picks of the year. But the premise is you can travel back in time on a cafe, and that cafe, like, you have to sit in a specific place. I'm trying really hard to not spoil the content, but basically you just have the opportunity of traveling back in time and talk to someone, either they're alive or not, and yeah, that makes you think a lot about who you would travel, like to what time in your life you would travel to, and who would you speak to, who would you meet in the past, like I can't wait to read the rest of them that they are. I'm looking for them. Jesus. Oh, they are here. I have 3 of them left to read, and I can't wait for it. Yeah, I really recommend this if you want a cozy read. For the next book I read, it's also on my bottom picks of 2024, and it's Madame Bovary. I hated this book so much, and on my previous video I rated it as the worst book I read in 2024. Here you go. And that was my heater, my radiator going off, I think. And turns out I was wrong, because there's going to be a book that is even worse than this. But this is so you know how much I didn't enjoy this book. It's like it was my worst book. It was my worst pick of 2024 on my video. But then I managed to read 2 more books at the end of the year, and turns out one of them was even worse. But yeah, basically they talk about this book as being the peak of feminism in the 1800s, and it's just not. So if you want to see a full rant about it, feel free to watch that video. It's a long one. It's 40 minutes of me talking about books. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, don't recommend it. I know that feminism in the 1800s is very different from what it would be now, but this is really cringe. It's just about a lady that has some kind of dysfunction when it comes to needing to feel loved by other men in order to be alive, and I don't think that should be what is the representation of feminism. But yeah, it is what it is. It's done. I actually read also some of my favorite books in December 2024. And one of them was Hood Feminism by Mikki Kendall. And this book is so special. I think, yeah, it was my favorite pick of 2024 on my best and worst video. So if you want the full description about the book, you can find it on that video, but I can already say the fact that it says Hood Feminism Notes from the Women White Feminists Forgot, it already says a lot, because we know that white feminism doesn't include everyone, and unfortunately it doesn't include not only BIPOC people, but it doesn't include people with disabilities, people living in poverty, people belonging to the LGBTQ plus community. And this book basically tackles all of that, and how feminism actually sometimes hurts us, and this is amazing. My favorite book of 2024, and the best one from December for sure. So yeah, with feminism. This one was quite a surprise because I didn't know about this book. Actually, I found the author on Instagram, and it's by Kevin Fresh Townsend. I think I'm saying his name correctly, but this is about a black man in America that is imprisoned. And I'm talking a bit more of what this is about because they didn't have a publisher, they had to publish it themselves, because it's from his perspective of how it is to be in prison and what leads for black men mostly to be imprisoned compared to white men, and how the fact that they struggle so much throughout their not only adulthood but childhood with racism, how that actually leads to an imprisonment life, and how they are treated inside, and how mental health is impacted inside the prison. And the author is still imprisoned, okay, and I do feel like a lot of people would have some kind of taboo buying their book. I don't think that should be a problem, because first of all, we have to not judge immediately, a person is in prison, so why would I buy their book? You don't know why. And second of all, we have to recognize how racism plays a part on black men being imprisoned. And if you read this book, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. I actually bought this book from Amazon with a gift card that I had. But I'll be honest, I usually don't use Amazon due to how evil they are, but I did open an exception for this because I think this is really important, that we read more independent authors, but also authors that actually have something that it's really important to hear, and hearing it firsthand. It's not like, for example, we have in our house Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow, and this book is so important for me because it talks about how the mass incarceration system works. But then we have something that could be even paired together. I didn't read this month. It was this last month. It was in August, I think. But I actually recommend you pair these up together, because here you see the vision, the view, of someone that is looking at what's happening to other people. Here you actually see Kevin's perspective of what is happening to him and his colleagues, and how mental health impacts people in prisons and other stuff, and what leads to people being imprisoned as well. And I think that's quite interesting. Another book that I wasn't the biggest fan of, it's actually, I have the Portuguese edition. It's The Tattoist of Auschwitz. And it's not a bad book. It's a quite interesting book because it talks about the lives of Lal and Gita, that it's based on a real story, and it's on the lives of Lal and Gita that were in concentration camps in, like, well, clearly they were in Auschwitz, but actually Lal used to go to sometimes to another concentration camp. But yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it for you in case you want to read it. But yeah, basically it's quite interesting, their story, and see how a love story survives to basically being in a concentration camp. That's like heartwarming, how like you can even believe in love, believe in anything when you're going through such a shitty ass situation, you know. However, I wasn't very fond of how their story was talked about on the last chapters. It was really like fast, like super fast paced, compared to how it was slow paced throughout almost the whole book. So that was a bit not my kind of writing. And then there was a mention, I actually mentioned this also in my previous video, a mention on how Lal and Mita wanted to be part, they actually said it themselves, that they wanted to be part of building the new Jewish state in Israel. And that's this was written in the early 2000s. We, like, the author Heather Morris could have left that part out of the book, but she chose not to. So that was a deal breaker for me. Then we're getting to the end of it. Wow. Getting quicker at this. Then one of my favorite books of the year as well, because most of the year I read really good books. But then there were exceptions, and one of my favorite ones was Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom. And this is an autobiography, I know, but at the same time it's also history. That's actually why, like, when I had it divided through genres, I had this on history and politics, because you see how he's talking about, like, is doing his autobiography, but he's actually talking about the history of his country, like the history of the tribes on the country. Like you see so much history here that I actually found it a bit not harder to read because of the size, but because I loved the size of it. I loved how thorough it was, actually. But I loved how it was demanding. Okay, it was more difficult to read because you had to pay attention to each detail. It's not something that you can just, like, I wouldn't say skim through it, but you can just, like, read and not think about it. Like, you actually take time to think about his words, and this is something I recommend to everyone. I think everyone should read this, because a lot of people are like, oh, everyone knows who Nelson Mandela is. Yeah, we do, but a lot of details that are in this book, you can't find them anywhere. And I know that later there's, like, stuff about, and it's even mentioned, like, very quickly at the end of the book about his divorce with Winnie and stuff like that. But if you see what he's been through, like, it's mind-blowing. So I really recommend this to everyone. Second to last book. This one's one that, you know how I hated Madame Bovary? I managed to, like I said before, to read 2 lost books before 2024 ended. And turns out I hated this book more than any book I've ever read, including Madame Bovary. I'm even like, I'm gesturing a lot. But so this book actually wasn't a pick of mine. My grandpa, he was not my blood grandpa, but he was like the grandpa figure that my family had, let's call it. And my grandpa had a bunch of books. And let's think about this. It would be about 110 now, if he was alive. And he was a very gentle, very kind soul. However, he did have this book on his collection, and when he passed away, we were, like, gathering some stuff, and one of the books that I kept from him was this one. And I saw the design and I was like, oh, that's cute. And oh god, this was a long time ago. I was 12 and I just thought like, oh, I'm gonna keep this, a little bit of something from my grandpa. And I couldn't have picked a worse book to keep. Because this one is from Pearl S. Buck. It's a Portuguese edition of The Eternal Wonder. And now that I'm more into books and a specific type of books, I know that I would have never picked this from my grandpa's shelf if I could go back in time. Because Pearl S. Buck is such a terrible writer. And I'm not gonna even hold on to like, oh, she was a Nobel Prize winner on literature. I don't care, okay? This was really bad. Like, they have this main character that is Rennie, and Rennie, not as in Rennie's for the digestion, like Rennie from Rannie, and Rennie is insufferable. There was a noise, Jesus. Sorry, got a little bit scared. Rennie is insufferable, okay? Like, is one of the worst characters I've ever seen in a book. He actually makes me want to stop reading forever almost, from how bad he is. Like, the first chapter of the book, like, you find yourself like listening to what are Rennie's thoughts on his mom's womb, and you're like, what? Yeah, basically this is like, this all revolves around how Rennie is like this amazing, like super intelligent person, like smart person, and the whole book goes around it. And then you hear him talking and he doesn't sound smart at all. Like, it's so enraging. Yeah, it's very, very early in the day, and this rage woke me up a little bit. But yeah, I don't recommend it. It's really bad. Oh, and on top of that, this book was one of the 2 books that Pearl's daughter found somehow magically after she died. And there's actually a conspiracy theory that she actually didn't finish this book, just like the other one that her daughter found. And I do believe it, because the book is divided in 2 parts. The second part is like on page 203 out of 300. And the second part looks like it was written by a completely different person. So I actually suspect that someone finished the book after she died so that they could get a few more bucks, I guess. It was really, really bad. But yeah, don't read it, please. Don't read it. Don't waste your time. It's really bad. And it has homophobia in the beginning, and then on the second part they go back on like, oh no, homosexual people are normal. Yes, no shit, Sherlock. Like, it's just, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Don't read it. Last but for sure not least, this book is so good. Oh my god. Like, some people say that this is young adult, kind of fiction, but I usually don't buy those type of books, but I loved it so much. It's When Life Gives You Mangoes by Karen Getton? I don't know what to say. Karen Getton, I think. And it's so good. I cried with this book. Like, the only 2 books that made me cry in December were this one and Tales from the Cafe. Oh, Jesus. I even forgot how to say the name. Tales from the Cafe. Okay, I just dropped all my books. And this one was actually really heartwarming because it talks about a girl that lives in Sycamore Hill, and like, it's just this Jamaican kind of island, and there's a friendship that unfortunately doesn't end that well. And also on top of that, on top of her being in a kind of a fight with her best friend, she also doesn't remember anything that happened last summer. And then, oh my god, I'm trying to not give you spoilers, but yeah, basically another girl comes into town, she becomes friends with that girl, and at the end of the book there's a talk about what happened last summer, and that made me cry so much because, yeah, I can't give you spoilers. I really need you to read it. But it's like the character is amazing. Like, I love how the character is so expressive and has emotion. You know, it's not just a blank character that is just like thinking about herself. It's just like, you love this character, you actually want to be friends with this character, and when you find out that she doesn't remember what happened in the past summer, you actually want to hug her, you know? And I don't like hugging people, I don't like touching people, but I really wanted to hug her, and I think that's pretty special. So yeah, I really recommend When Life Gives You Mangoes. So yeah, that was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to be quicker when it's this like quick, like just wrap up of the month, but it was a bit difficult this time because it was a lot of books. I hope you guys are having an amazing beginning of the year. For me, it's been a little bit difficult because it's, as you can see, there's no light, it's winter, it's really, really cold where I live, and I'm getting the seasonal blues. I've also been like having issues with my vitamin D, which makes me feel my emotions are up and down. But yeah, this is something that has been helping me making the videos for you, so I hope you enjoy it. Leave on the comments what you think about the video and what you think about some of these books. If you want to read some, like what if you have read some, and what are your opinions on it. And yeah, that's it. I hope you have a wonderful 2025, and I hope I come back from Cape Verde, that I'll be going in February. So throughout February it's going to be really difficult for me to record videos, but when I come back, I hope I come back with more energy, because I'm going to go to what is my home and to a sunny island. So let's hope I come back from there more energized. And also I'm going to be trying to record videos every 2 weeks, like instead of just doing one whenever I feel like it and being inconsistent. I'm going to try to be more consistent, but spacing them out a little bit, so that we can have fun and not be bombarded all the time with 40 minutes videos. So yeah, hope you guys have a nice one. Bye!